My sex addiction was out of control. I was a youth pastor, and I was sort of living two lives. Sometimes I'd have the pornography open on one side of my bed and the Bible open on the other. When I was a teenager, I would seek out sexually explicit material online, using masturbation to escape. What made it worse is, in the church, it was kind of understood that if God loved you, if you had enough faith, he would heal you. So, on one hand, I was trying to do everything perfect, but on the other hand, all of this was happening. But sex addiction is compulsive. It's a feeling of not being able to stop. I would shut it away and I shove it to the side and ignore it, but it escaped through the seams. I was a nanny over the summer for these two boys, and I took them to the library and I let them get situated with their books. But I found the erotic literature section, and I took a book with me to the bathroom and left 2, 3, and 6-year-old boys alone while I was doing that. And that disregard for everything around me, it was all-consuming. I started getting really terrible, intrusive thoughts like, just drive through that stop sign. I met 2 gentlemen at the local McDonald's, and so I found Sex Addicts Anonymous, because it was free in the little town where I was. I was the only woman. It doesn't only affect men. Some were single, some married, and some in committed relationships. At this point, I didn't know what a sex addict was. I had the same picture everybody else in the world had, someone who just wants to have sex all day. While that's true in some cases, the inability to control urges can also manifest through consuming porn or just fantasizing about sex all day. I got in my car and I followed them in and I thought, what's going to happen? I know why I was afraid and scared, but those men in those meetings saved my life. But recovery isn't a straight line. My first sponsor let me go because I kept relapsing. I had gotten rid of my phone, my Wi-Fi, but I wanted to act out, so I was looking up pornography and masturbating in the parking lot of a school. If a police officer drove by, I would have been arrested and put on the sex offender registry. At that point, I had put a few weeks of sobriety together and was crushed in losing that. So I decided that I was going to jump off a bridge. And I was there for a little while, and I called a suicide hotline, and they sent police. I was committed to the psychiatric hospital for 3 days. And I really realized, okay, things have got to change. I got help from a psychiatrist. I was using masturbation to avoid intimacy. I thought I didn't have to be intimate or present with anybody in any meaningful way. I worked on appreciating things that were real, instead of trying to replace them with something synthetic. Anytime I'd shake someone's hand or hug a friend, I'd show gratitude for that moment and how it made me feel. Coming from a really conservative framework of Christianity, it was really hard, especially for a woman, to acknowledge that I had a sexuality, and I shouldn't be treating it like the enemy. The key to my sobriety today is being okay with gray areas. If you make a mistake and have to reset your days, you haven't lost the recovery that you've put in. You know, we say in the program, keep coming back. It works. At this point, I think I have about 7 or 8 years of sobriety. It takes time, and you have to do the work every day. Personal intimacy is still a work in progress. Setting boundaries, knowing how to say no, having agency over your own body. But it's like when you're a toddler and you're learning how to take steps. By the time you're our age, we don't think about getting up and walking. It's just part of us.